greetings and blessings. And they went away from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were found worthy to suffer dishonor for the name of Christ. Is that something that you can say in your heart and in your mind, that you would be rejoicing to suffer dishonor for the name of Christ? Well, that is exactly what the apostles tell us in Acts chapter 5. When they had been arrested, they had been beaten, they had been charged not to teach in the name of Christ anymore. But Luke records just at the end, after all of that, after that, they said, and when they had called in the apostles, they beat them and charged them not to speak in the name of Jesus, and then they let them go. Then they left the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer dishonor for the name of Jesus. And every day in the temple and from house to house, they did not cease teaching and preaching that Christ is Jesus. So suffering is the overarching message from beginning to end of the Bible. And I believe that we all need to learn how to suffer better. Because there's coming a day, I believe, in which we all are going to suffer or be persecuted, or many other things will happen that we find very confusing unless we've learned how to suffer. If you go to Acts chapter 9, just after Paul has his radical transformation on the road to Damascus, when the scales fall from his eyes, he's truly a changed man. He went from killing Christians to being a Christian. But what are the first words that Jesus Christ says to Ananias concerning Saul, who eventually becomes Paul? But we read in Acts chapter 9, verse 15, we'll start at, says, But the Lord said to him, Go, for he is a chosen instrument of mine to carry my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. And then he says, for I will show him how much he must suffer for the sake of my name. Now, these are the words of Jesus Christ himself, but the very first thing he says, I will show him how much he must suffer. Now, Paul was beaten, he was put in prison, he was days without food, he was in danger he was shipwrecked, he was in danger from robbers, danger from his own people. Aside from Christ, I don't know if there was a man who suffered more than him, more than Paul. Jesus Christ makes it very clear to us when he says in Matthew chapter 10, he says, a servant, which is us, is not greater than his master. Well, what happened to a master? He was crucified on a cross after being beaten, arrested. He was slandered. He was gossiped about. He was hated. And he is telling us we are not greater than that. He said in Mark 8, he said, if anyone comes after me, let him pick up their cross and follow me. When he was talking to his apostles at that moment, they knew what a Roman crucifixion, they knew what he meant when he said, pick up our cross. They were familiarized. They were very familiar with the Roman crucifixion. And a cross meant be willing to go to your death for me. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like, share, and comment. It would really help spread this message. And I would love to hear your thoughts. So leave a comment below. Jesus says if you save your life, you will lose it. If you lose your life for my name and the Gospels, you will save it. He says, what would it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his own soul? And what would a man give in exchange for his soul? He says, if anyone is ashamed of me and my words, so shall the Son of Man be ashamed of him when he comes. Not if, not might, not maybe, not could be, but when he comes in glory with the Father and the holy angels. something that really, really hit me very hard was when he says, me and my words, whoever is ashamed of me and my words. So his words are very powerful. We see many churches today who are unwilling to preach the full gospel. Everything is rainbows and roses, and everything is all good, but we don't talk about the consequences of sin. We don't talk about when Jesus says, many will come to me on that day, and they will say, Lord, Lord, didn't we do all these great things in your name? He's talking to Christians, and he will say, depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. I never knew you. So I pray that you haven't made a Jesus in your own image to suit your own needs, who agrees with everything that you say or do. We have to remember that walking with him is not easy. He said, this road is hard and few find it. He said it's a narrow gate that leads to life. It's a wide road that leads to destruction, and many are entering on it. So he says the lukewarm will be spit out of his mouth. This should terrify us, and we should all walk with fear and trembling that we are found worthy to suffer, that we are found worthy to be called sons of God, that we endure. Paul says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So I believe firmly this is a continuation, a sanctification, that we walk worthy and endure. It's not a one and done, raise my hand, I said a prayer, I'm good to go. Even the demons believe and they tremble. So as great as believing is, there has to be action to that belief, that we are bearing fruit, walking in righteousness, that he said, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. Paul said, I fought the good fight of faith. I kept the faith. So we all must truly walk in a way that is worthy, and that we can rejoice that we are found worthy to suffer. So suffering is not a bad thing. People would look at my life and go, well, if that's God, I don't want any part of that. But as I was just sitting on the chair the other morning, and I read, and I love chapter 5 of Acts, but I really felt what that means to be counted as worthy to suffer, because there's more blessing in my suffering than I can ever imagine. This body is wasting away, but it's preparing me for an eternal weight of glory beyond my comprehension. He is made perfect in our weakness. So I will boast in my weaknesses. I pray in the name of Jesus Christ that you will examine your heart and truly find out if you are walking the narrow path through the narrow gate that leads to life. I pray that the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your heart and your mind. The war, remember, always starts in the mind. So Paul said, be sober-minded. Walk in a way that is worthy.